Support Mark Stoops. You're on with Drew. Last caller of the night. Are you supporting Mark Stoops through this whole debacle? What is wrong with you, sir?
I'm supporting Mark Stoops, man. I think he was the right hire.
Is this support Jimbo?
Definitely not.
Okay. Why do you support Mark Stoops?
This man's been a coach of a pretty less than mediocre program in Kentucky historically.
Great reason. I see why you like him.
And he's had them playing at a pretty good level for many years. They were absolutely terrible when he took over. I think he was the right hire, man.
That's a good point, but don't you feel like he's kind of run his course already? We've kind of seen how much he can maximize a program. I know Kentucky's not exactly Texas A&M, but that's an SEC school. You don't think that he could get those donors to pony up and maybe get that thing going a little bit? I mean, it's been 11 years, right? I mean, he did have some success there. He had 2 10-win years. We haven't had any 10-win years. But I don't know. I feel like that kind of coach has run his course. And if you're going to get an established guy, my thing was you shoot for the stars. You get the Ryan Day if he was actually available, which I don't think he was. You get a Dan Lanning who wasn't actually available. He's not even that established. You get a Dabo Swinney, which a bunch of Aggies didn't even want. I don't know how you can say that. I mean, I wasn't going to just, I wasn't going to throw a fit if they got Mark Stoops, but I don't know how you can say he's better than Mike Elko. Mike Elko has everything to play for. He's like, I forget which caller said it. He's the hungry dog. He has everything to earn still. He has everything to build, to prove. He's here to make a name for himself. And that's a driving force as opposed to Jimbo, who had no buyout, was going to get paid regardless, had already won a championship, and was a stubborn type of person. But, if you're going to support Mark Stoops, I support you.
Well, maybe Elko's just a starving dog that dies, doesn't find any food.
It's possible. It's possible. You can't grade it yet. We don't know what it's going to be yet. What do you think of Mike Elko? I have trouble discovering your allegiance. I don't know if you're truly an Aggie. I'm pretty sure your name used to be Support Jimbo. Now you're Support Mark Stoops. I think you're just a chaotic enigma that exists on the airwaves of YouTube. But, yeah, I don't know what I asked you, but answer it.
Listen, not many can comprehend my mind. Okay.
Can you?
I don't think so.
Okay. Go on.
What is it about Elko that something about the players won't transfer out or something?
All right. I'll explain it. He was here before. He was beloved. For whatever reason, players constantly talked about him, specifically how much they liked their system. Buddy Johnson comes to mind. Fadil Diggs, Bobby Taylor. Back when he played, guys like I believe Matabike said things. Was that before his time? I forget who it was. A lot of players talked about him. Bobby Brown. DeMarvin Leal always talked highly of him. And they always referred to his scheme and their trust in him. Players love this guy. And a lot of players that are on the roster now were either recruited by him or were straight up coached by him. And I think that not only do you have a better chance to retain those specific guys, but I think that response could potentially be contagious within the locker room. And that's kind of the hope, the piece of the puzzle that kind of keeps this thing together.
So we're excited about retaining players that have gone 12-12 the past 2 seasons. Well, whoop-de-fucking-do.
Well, let's be real. 5-7. You had a lot of injuries, unprecedented amount of injuries. You were playing an unprecedented amount of true freshmen. Sure, we wish we would have won maybe 7 games that year. I think we should have. We lost, 4 games by 6 or less points? Yeah, you wish the coach would have pulled one out of his ass and won one of those games or 2 of those games. 5-7 was not acceptable, even in that situation, to me. You don't lose to App State at home. You don't lose to South Carolina after giving up the opening kickoff. You win the rest of the game besides that play. That's 2 wins right there you should have had. So those players, I mean, you had players that had no business playing as much as they did throughout the entire roster, throughout the entire rotation that year. Not to excuse it, Jimbo still should have won at least 7 games that year. The next year, this year, I'm of the opinion that this team should have won 2 or 3 more games. They were all close. We've been in every game. We lost our starting quarterback. We lost our starting quarterback, and we've barely lost most of these games. Tennessee should have won it. Ole Miss, your corners are healthy. You win that freaking game. I'm dying on that hill. Trey Harris went off on us. That was the difference maker in that game. I think this roster is much better than that record you indicated. I think that this roster has all the potential in the world. This is going to be an upperclassman dominant roster next year, and we all know that those teams are the ones that make the most noise in college football typically, unless you're like a Georgia that just they recruit 5-star talent and they have the culture right. So that's the ultimate goal that you're working towards. You got to build your way up to that. Yeah, I don't remember what you asked.
I think that's pretty dumb what you just said there.
Oh, I don't remember what you asked, so it probably made no sense. What else you got?
Yeah, well, listen, we're going to have to agree to disagree. I'm a Mark Stoops guy. I like what he did at Kentucky.
Well, we didn't get him. What are you going to do about
San
it?
Antonio. Well, I'm going to
Yeah,
support
shut up.
Elko.
Okay, yeah, go on. Continue.
So you do that.
Shut up.
You're from San Antonio, correct?
Continue. Yes, I am.